outlined in red, which lies behind number 53 and 57 Old Street. Currently on the site there are a number of former old agricultural buildings, stables, lots of containers and older and newer vehicles, which I can show you with some photographs later on in our presentation. There's an existing access into the site between 57C and 57 Old Street, running up through here. And this access serves 57, and also through the back here it serves 53, and also the site and further land beyond to the west. The site lies outside of the urban settlement boundary in the defined countryside and the Meon Valley strategic gap. The urban area boundary runs along the eastern side of Old Street. So within the urban area on the eastern side of the road, you'll note that we've got sort of properties with modest gardens, more sort of representing estate-like development, with the development on the western side, which is outside the urban settlement boundary, with larger properties on larger plots, more sporadic sort of placed along the road. But this development on this side of the road is all along the frontage and not to the back, not to the rear. Part of the application site, sort of approximately in this area here, going back to 1979, there was an established use certificate for this area for the parking of commercial vehicles on the site. So this is an extant use on the site currently at the moment. Outline planning permission is proposed for this application for the erection of 4 detached 4-bedroom properties, 1, 2, 3, 4, which will involve the complete removal of all the outbuildings and other structures on the site. There's currently a telecommunications mast in this area here, but planning permission has been granted to relocate that mast further west. So the site will be completely cleared of all the buildings and other structures. Access will be between, as currently, between 57C and 57. The access would be widened and surfaced here, and sight lines created in Old Street. It is an outline application, and we're being asked to consider the layout, so where the buildings are shown here, and also the means of access. The other items, the scale, the appearance, and the landscaping will be considered at reserve matter stage. So I'll just run through a number of the photographs of the site, which represents its current state as of a couple of weeks ago. These stables are currently in use, albeit on a fairly low key. We're just coming into the vehicle storage area, which I mentioned has got the lawful use in this area as well. That's the telecom mast, which I mentioned has got permission to be relocated further west. This photograph is looking west into the land that was outlined in blue on the original site location plan. And this is with my back to that access, looking east through the site. So Old Street is sort of down here. You can just see Old Street here, just beyond these parked cars. This is the side of 57 Old Street, which shows its front door and side window. The new access would be 5 metres from this window and door. And this is looking into the site, just showing the residential development 57C. And that's looking, the farmhouse 57 is behind all this growth here. That's the access itself. And that's looking north up Old Street and south. As mentioned before, the proposal would involve the complete clearance of the site, which is a benefit. However, as you'll see from the report, officers consider these benefits do not outweigh the overriding policy objections to the proposal. Thank you, Chairman.
I think you're standing the sun, wasn't it?
I'm just happy to.
Before you start, Paul, we just need a question, Kim. What's the difference between a scrapyard and a storage yard? In use terms. Is there one?
Yes. That's probably more a dismantle. It looks like pieces have been removed from some of those vehicles for a long period of time.
Well, there are a few, I mean, this is more, I don't know how long this vehicle's been here, obviously that's a newer vehicle.
Right, over to you.
Chairman, thank you for allowing me to speak in favour of my client's proposal and against the officer's recommendation. From time to time, a proposal comes before this committee that raises issues which were not, indeed could not be, anticipated when the development plan was prepared, and calls for thinking outside the statutory box. This is such a site. The officers recognise that a number of former agricultural buildings, storage containers, vehicles and stables exist within the site. 37 years ago, it was recognised that this site enjoyed unrestricted rights to the storage of commercial vehicles, which gain access via the Old Street cul-de-sac. This site presents an image of dereliction and dilapidation that detracts from the character of the local countryside and the setting of Stubbington. Paragraph 5.146 of the core strategy states that in such areas of countryside, the priority is to protect and enhance landscape character. But neither it, Local Plan Part 2, nor the Design Guidance SPD actually bring forward proposals for enhancement of the countryside. That initiative has by default therefore been passed to private landowners. This proposal would enhance the countryside in my view. Paragraph 652 of the core strategy tells us that, and I quote, strategic gaps do not have intrinsic landscape value, but are important in maintaining the settlement pattern, keeping individual settlements separate. A review of the detailed boundaries will be undertaken as part of the Site Allocations and Development Management DPD to identify the land essential to perform this role. The boundary in this locality was not actually reviewed. So this proposal affords the opportunity to remedy that situation. The strategic gap between Stubbington and Hook Park Warsash, that's the line of the gap, is 5.7 kilometres wide. This proposal would extend just 105 metres into the eastern side of that gap. This proposal would not, in my submission, significantly affect the integrity of the gap or the physical and visual separation of settlements. And that's the central test of policy CS22. Chairman, members are invited to defer their decision today and undertake a corporate site visit in order that they may appreciate the negative impact that this site makes on the character of the local countryside and the positive contribution that redevelopment of this previously developed land would deliver. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Simon.
Predictable, I suppose, Chairman. It seems that we're in the phase now of attempting by nibbling away at the edges of strategic gaps and countryside to taking bite-sized chunks out of it. And much of it is justified by so-called planning gain. Whatever the justification is, the adverse impact on the environment at the moment has been caused by the applicant. It's been caused by the use to which it was put, even though that was a lawful use. No consideration was given to the countryside or to neighbouring properties in any respect at all. That's obvious from the photographs. We are in the process of reviewing the borough plan on a managed and holistic basis. We've undertaken part of that function by the call for sites, and I suspect that this may be one of those sites that have been offered forward. I think if we're going to change our boundaries, change our designations, we will take into account, no doubt, planning gain as part of that. And the impact that it has itself, that the proposed development has itself on the general environment of the area and the effect on the strategic gap, albeit maybe 5 kilometres wide. So, if we look at the bottom of page 58, I think it's difficult to envisage any proposal that would be contrary to so many policies. So many policies that are the means by which we protect this borough and its countryside and its residents and the general amenity of people who are living here. Of course it's got a negative impact. I'd be more sympathetic at that negative impact. Some effort being made to reduce that negative impact, but it hasn't. Let's leave it where it is and apply on the basis that it will be an improvement to the local environment and the general amenity of the people who are currently living there. I think that that is the wrong way to go about revising our current plan, revising our strategic gaps and countryside to allow the degradation of particular areas to be a motive for development, which is otherwise contrary to policy. Therefore, I think the officers are quite right in their recommendation. It is contrary to all of these policies. Maybe in the fullness of time, something may be done with the site, I dare say it will be. But I think at this time, for the reasons that have been given, I think it's right that it should be refused and refused robustly as it is here, irrespective of any outcome of whether a planning inspector may approve or not.
Councillor Evans?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just hold to what Councillor Andrews just said. This really, in my mind, is really quite straightforward. Dereliction and dilapidation, whilst it certainly would result in positive comments if improved, does not counter our countryside policies, and we must refuse this application. In accordance with those policies, as Councillor Andrew just said, the range of policies that this actually cuts for us is unbelievably large, but we just must refuse this application.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I also fully endorse what Councillor Andrew and Councillor Evans has said. I mean, it does remind me of some of the nursery sites that we've had in Warsash. They've used exactly the same reasons as to why we should move forward, and quite rightly we've rejected them, and I'm quite happy with the officer's recommendations on this one.
Yeah, not much to add now, Chairman, but I believe we've got possibly in the pipeline a number of similar type applications for countryside development, and that we can't agree to one just because it's a bit dilapidated, the site itself. We've got to stick to the basis until it is reviewed. So I support the refusal.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I'm fully in agreement with my colleagues. It falls at the first hurdle. The first hurdle is it's outside the defined urban settlement and it doesn't meet any of the exemptions. It's not countryside related. It doesn't provide infill with a continuous frontage. So it immediately fails.
Councillor Davis?
I disagree with Councillor Ford. It didn't fall at the first hurdle. It didn't actually get to the start.
Right, I think I can pretty well sum this one up. Right, let's have a proposal. Proposed by Councillor Mandry, seconded by Councillor Butts, for the officer's recommendation, which is refusal. Those in favour, please show. That's unanimous. Refused.